This week's project was done again with the Santa Sleigh Mould from IOD and the JRV Map decoupage paper. We're going for a cast iron look, so you need to either paint your deer and Santa black with paint, or you can use a black resin. And then we're using the Paint Couture satin top coat as the glue for the cinnamon to stick to. Just putting a good coat over the whole thing and then sprinkling on the cinnamon. Then you set it aside to dry just for a little bit. I did this on every piece. I'm not going to show you all of them though. And then after it sits for a little bit, you go across again. This is like a dabbing motion with the clear top coat again, just to glue all that cinnamon down. And then set them aside to dry. And while those are drying, we started laying out the background. My framed board is actually a sign that had been at Dollar General on clearance. I can't even remember what used to be on it. I've had it for like a year, waiting for a project to go on it. And I just painted over the background so that I would have nothing to shine through in the paper. This was a lot of manipulating and trying to figure out. I wanted a couple of continents to show, but I didn't want like the gaps in the middle, so I was just playing around trying to figure out how I wanted to get the paper to show parts that I wanted and not look too pieced together. I do end up overlapping part of it, and I wanted any words to be like a continuous, not to be chopped off, because I couldn't guarantee that when I got the deer on there that they would actually cover up any spots that looked off. This is a bit of a tedious process, but I think it's worth it in the long run, so it's a good look across the back without a bunch of big blank areas. So if you're new here, we're glad that you've stopped by and hope you enjoy this project. And if you've been here before or one of our subscribers, we're grateful for your time to sit and watch this project. So after I had it all figured out, my deer were dry enough, and I'm calming down some of the rust look with Black Chiffon Glaze by Paint Couture, just to pull back some of the redness from the rust and have it not look too overwhelming. Now I'm using light brown sugar just to stain the frame of the board, and it's a real quick put it on and then just wipe it back. It's basically a water-based glaze, or water-based stain, sorry. So now it's time to put down the decoupage background. And I use the Paint Couture matte decoupage medium. I like it because it's a little bit thicker and it's not too thick like some, but it's thicker so that when you mist the paper, it's got enough to it to hold it down. And misting the paper allows you the ability to lift it and just change where you've got it laid down. It just gives you some freedom. If you put it down dry onto the medium, it pretty much adheres it right away, and it's hard to get it up without ripping. And with this, you'll see I'm gonna lift and lay back down and lift and lay back down. I just couldn't get it to settle into the right spot right off the bat. So as you can see, I'm really struggling here, but once I finally get it into its place, it's gonna settle down and be fine. And if I had not misted that paper first, I really think it would have torn. Looks like I'm being a little rougher than I am, but you can see once I'm all settled, I'll just add a little more medium on there just to ensure that it actually stays down. Now here, since I'm going to be overlapping, I'm not gluing it all down right away. I gotta mess back and forth and figure out which part's gonna be on top and what behind, and it takes a little bit. The very bottom was showing white behind it, so I cut that piece off so I could slide it down. That there would have been a little too much to have overlapping. You're going to see later, even the parts that I overlapped, I decided I had to go back and paint up underneath them because they just, when you layer them on top of each other, that dark shines through, and that's just not good. And yes, that one I did miss the back side of the paper. It doesn't matter as long as you get it just enough to wet that paper so it's got a little bit of give to it. Using the brush to lay the paper down with helps smooth it out too. The other option is to use like the saran wrap method. So you can see where I overlapped them, how dark they look. I didn't really notice it until after I had put a coat over the top, and then I did, so this is right away that I'm lifting it up. And then I'm just painting back or white on the back of the paper. I decided to do it on the back of the paper instead of trying to put it down on the paper that's on the bottom because I didn't want it to end up in the wrong spot and then have a big white spot. This paint dries really fast. I did wait a little bit longer than it appears in the video, but it dries quick, so I just needed it dried enough to not come spreading out from underneath. I did have to trim the paper back a little bit. I skipped over that part somehow. You could just use a, like that X-Acto knife after it's dry. And now it's time to get Santa and his reindeer set on this background. For the reins, this is actually a piece of twine, and I darkened it. I believe I just used the black chiffon glaze on it. Just like put it on a rag and rubbed it across it, just to darken it a little bit so it blended in better. And I glued these down just using Tight Bond Quick and Thick, and then I also used a hot glue gun for part of it. And that's all the steps for this project. If you liked the video, leave a comment, hit the like button. You can find us at ampy'sattic.com and also on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for watching, and we hope this inspires you to do a project of your own.